Welcome back to the Fool's Den podcast. I've got a special guest on the first episode of the year. It's 2026. I'd like to introduce y'all to the man, the myth, the legend. He is the founder of the NOMAD Golf podcast, and it's Smoke Easy.
It is I. It is I. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for that wonderful.
To say,
And I truly am honored and I truly appreciate the fact that I am the one to set the tone for 2026 in the Fool's Den.
you know what? It seems right just to start the year off right. Because I think about 10 days late when it comes to putting out content.
Oh, there's no such thing as late. There's no such thing as early. There's really no such thing as a concept of time. Everything happens when it's supposed to happen. That's why I don't even wear a watch because if you're important, they're gonna wait for you anyway.
You go. There you go. So what you got on plan for this year? Because a
Uh,
lot of us said that we were subscribed to that trials and tribulations subscription last year. I mean,
right.
personally, I think if you take what you learned last year and apply it to this year, you should be straight. Hopefully.
Right, right. I mean, I think I'm just gonna live a life of gratitude. That's it. I mean, whatever comes my way is supposed to come my way, and I'm gonna be extremely appreciative, and I'm gonna view it through a prism of positivity.
Now, what all does that entail? Because now I can see from your perspective, but a lot of times
Mhm.
when you used to say this to me in the past, I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna try that. But it took me a good minute to really understand what it means to be grateful.
It's a process. I mean, it took me a while to get to this point, and I'm still not there. But it's just one of the things that you have to be is intentional. You know what I mean? That's the thing. You have to be intentional. It's not a coincidence. It's something that you have to actually focus on, and then it becomes a habit, right? Then it becomes a habit. If you can live your life in gratitude and just try to have a positive mindset, positive things are going to happen, right? And then when you start, but the thing is too, you have to recognize those things that are happening as a positive too. I mean, something as simple as, hey, you go to the store and all of a sudden, boom, the parking space up front opens up. Hey man, that's a good thing.
Oh, that's
That
always a
that
blessing because don't nobody really
yeah,
want to walk all the way into that
yeah,
store.
especially if you don't have a handicap sticker, because they get all the good ones. That's the thing. I mean, it's those little those mini blessings, right? And I was having this conversation with a few of my team members because
Mhm.
every month I have something that we, as far as like a question, like a thought provoking question. But this one, define how do you define success for yourself? Number one, and then 5 commitments that you want to make. And I don't believe in New Year's resolutions and all that stuff, but just 5 commitments you want to make. And my thought process is I wanted to look from a holistic standpoint, not from a work standpoint, but obviously the majority were focused on work, right? And that's good, but it's more or less thought provoking conversations to define what success looks like for you because everybody's success is different.
You know what? I remember those old, late night discussions we used to have, and I think that was the most pivotal one for me, is when you asked me, how do you define success? Because a lot of us feel, especially in my generation and younger, a lot of us feel that success is defined by your wealth and your status. Like, who has the
Right.
best money? Who's wearing the most expensive clothes? Who's wearing designer this, designer that? And then once you take that and you individualize it and you're like, what is success to me? I started realizing, like, for myself at least, it's just spending the day how I want to spend it, however that
Absolutely.
may look.
That's it. I think the thought process a lot of first of all, there's internet, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, a lot of that stuff's not real, right? All you see are the winners. You don't see the bootlegs and the B-sides, right? So that's one thing. Then another thing too, a lot of times people do equate success with money, right? And how big your house is, what type of car you drive. That's not success. Success is however you now for some people that is success if that's how they define it, right? But here's the thing, nobody knew what kind of car Malcolm X and Martin Luther King drove.
Well, absolutely
Nobody
not.
knew nobody knew their net worth, right? nobody even
I
remembers
gotta
the
put my
name of the
glasses back
person.
on when you said Brother Malcolm right there, and I had to
Right. You had to put
put
the
my
you
glasses
had to put
back
the
on.
had to put them peoples back on,
Let
right,
me go ahead and hit that pose real quick.
by any means necessary. But think about it, nobody knows who invented the sidewalk, you
They
know what I
don't.
mean? Right. So, I mean, by any measure, those individuals were probably successful, right? So you have to define success for you, and what does that mean for you? And then what is your plan to
You
continue
gotta have a
to attain that
plan. Look, I
success?
figured I ended up because for me, you were the blueprint, so to speak.
Well,
And so I
I'm
ended up taking
sorry.
a page out of your book instead of
You
wearing
should
designer.
get out more.
You know what? You always say that, but you got some gems that a lot of people just don't know about. And so when we talk
Mhm.
about designer, I started making my own clothing. I was like, all right, so what is it that I like to wear? And then I'm like, all
Exactly.
right, let's see if everybody else enjoys this. If they don't, they don't. If they do, okay, cool.
It reminds me of that line from the late great Heavy D. Don't be down with anybody, let them all be down with you.
I like that. I like
That's well before your time, that's not like one of the cats you're gonna reach back like the Temptation. You don't consider him a pioneer of hip hop, but he had some bangers and some lyrics before he decided to go over into to do a little acting, as my man Big Boy said about Andre Three Stacks. So, but that's the thing. I just think as I go on this journey, I think for me, like I said, you just really have to find a routine and really be intentional about what you do. And I think, to piggyback on what you're saying, success for you is being able to wake up and have the freedom to do what you want to do. Dude, that's a beautiful thing, because it's very rare in life that individuals, not that they don't have the ability, because everybody has the ability to do it, but I think we get caught up in that westernized way of thinking. That
And
I
you know
think
what?
that's the challenge.
It's not a very I will say it's not a very easy thing to do because with the westernized way of thinking, we're always like, "Oh, you have to do this, you have to do that." And then
Right.
you really sit back and think about it, and you're like, well, though, I'm
Right.
not
Well, the
saying that you
thing
shouldn't be productive and progressive,
Right.
but
Well, I think what happens, boom, you get that job, right? Then you start attaining these bills. You know what I mean? You start, so then you got to keep that job because you want to keep those things that you've attained. But if you become a minimalist, which I always say I try to do, but apparently I go that a minimalist has a different definition for myself. It's anti-minimalist or whatever, because but I have a limit on what I buy though, as far as the dollar amount. I don't spend a lot of money. I just buy too much other stuff, but I don't spend a lot of money on it. But I think if you have that minimalist thought process, then yeah, it's easy for you to have more freedoms too. Because once again, all this junk that we have, that we attain, that we spend money on, you can't take it with you. You know what I mean? I,
you're absolutely right. Once you go into the minimalist, like, mindset and start to realize that your material like, all the material possessions don't necessarily matter, it frees you up so much. It makes you a whole lot more grateful as well. Like, I love
Absolutely.
having that lifestyle and then parenting in that lifestyle because it doesn't matter who my daughter goes up to, whatever gift she gets, she always tells people, "Thank you so much, I've always wanted this."
Mm.
Now, is it a little fake sometimes? Possibly.
It doesn't matter, but she's learning, she's understanding, and she's probably still grateful for it. And that's I mean, and that's
You can give
another
the kid
thing
a
too.
water
The pipe. I mean, you never know what this world is coming to.
absolutely.
You never know what the next turn is. But that, once again, that's a part of that's a beautiful thing. Like you say, go out there and touch earth. I mean, that's priceless, right? I mean, because we come from nature, right? Within our DNA, the stardust is within our DNA, right? I mean, we have gold within us with the melanin too, right? So we have to be outside. We have to be in there and bonding with nature and getting in alignment with nature or whatever. And that's free. That doesn't cost a thing.
So what do you do for yourself to get into alignment? How do you see yourself when you're not in alignment?
I think my attitude, I get in a bad headspace. I start having negative thoughts or whatever. And so for me, one, golf. Golf is a great therapy for me. Whether I'm actually going to the course and actually playing 9 or 18 holes, or just going to the chipping and putting or whatever. I mean, that to me is my therapy, and being out, or just being outside. I mean, that's another thing too, just being outside. smoking cigars, having really one thing I really enjoy doing, in all honesty, although I say I don't, one thing I really enjoy doing is just having good conversation about anything. I don't care what it is, because I mean, I can always learn. There's something I can always
That's
learn,
why
and
I
if it
like
doesn't
going
line
to
up with
cigar
what I'm
lounges.
thinking too,
Say that one more time?
and then 2, I have to see, okay, does it line up with my thought process? And if not, because what a lot of people don't understand for me, I like a good debate. I might even believe exactly what you're saying, but I'm gonna take the opposite because I want to see how committed. I want to see how committed to you, to that thought process. How committed are you? Right?
You know, I do that to people often, and they just sit there and like, "Are you serious?
Yeah.
How can
So
how can you argue on this behalf?" And I'm like, "Well, I mean, let's see what you know.
right, because
There's
it goes
there's no
back
better
to
way to do it." Because as long as we're having a conversation of some sort, that
Mhm.
seems to be what we truly want. However, I think there's an entire like, there's a perversion of it out there that there's people that really just wanna be like they don't necessarily want to hear your point of view, they just want to spew whatever it is that they have to spew. So how do
right.
you deal with that?
Well, I haven't came across that yet. I mean, that's the thing. That's the one the really cool thing. Like if I go play golf by myself and they pair me with somebody, I've never ran into an asshole. Right. If I go to a cigar lounge and I'm go by myself and I don't know anybody there and I start having conversation, I've really never run into like an asshole. But at the same time, for me, you gotta really be an asshole for me to recognize it too, though. You know what I mean? It's gotta be, like, really just put you gotta be almost kinda like Archie Bunker-esque, like, just really, really, really bad for me to be able to. Because one of my things, I always give everybody the benefit of the doubt,
Of
right?
course.
And I think part of that and I think what a lot of us humans miss, I think, is understanding how to deal with and view the prism of perception and perspective, right? Because perception is our viewpoint. It's tunnel vision, what we think, what we see, right? But perspective is more of a holistic. You're trying to view it from the individual you're talking to, and then other things that could be affected by what this individual is saying or what this individual has gone through, right? So you have more of a holistic view as opposed to, oh, well, this is just my experience. And in my opinion, this is how it is. No, there's always 2 to 3 sides to every story. And you have to be open enough to be able to recognize that, not necessarily saying, okay, that's true, but at least be open to the possibility.
That's a gem in itself right there. Look, you know what? I'm glad
Mhm.
I brought you on the show at the first of the year because it was gonna be
And
hard to get some gems out from other folks.
it's okay. I mean, I got a jewelry box. So I mean, I got you.
Now, I will say in cigar lounges themselves, I've never had a bad conversation. However, I have tried to take that etiquette that we do have in that culture of the cigar lounge and apply it in like the everyday lifestyle. However, there's a lot of people that just aren't, let's say, intellectually stimulated enough to have a back and forth kind of conversation without getting either too emotional or otherwise.
Right. Well, time and place though. So to me, the cigar lounge is just like these three things kind of to me are synonymous with one another. Cigar lounges, barbershops, and the golf course. To me. They're all because
Like the
all three of
neutral
those
ground.
places, you're going to get some really good conversation. Barbershops may be even a little more animated, right? But you're still going to get some really good conversations in all those places, but you're a lot of times too, you're gonna have people from all different backgrounds, all different ethnicities, socioeconomic backgrounds, political backgrounds, but there's a common denominator there. On the golf course, it's golf, right? The cigar lounge is the cigar. The barber shop, boom, you're getting a haircut, you're getting your mustache or whatever, you're getting something done. So there's that common bond, that common denominator. And then two, more than likely, every one of those places you're going to be there an hour plus, golf course, four and a
You
half,
gotta
five
talk to
hours,
somebody.
right? So you're going to talk to somebody, right? And then but the biggest thing is you have to be open to having those conversations, right? And try to be non-judge or as non-judgmental as you can be. You know what I mean? And it's weird
What
because
was that?
depending
It
on
was a it
the
was a trend going around a while back that was like, "We listen and we don't judge." It's so hard not to judge people, and I know that we shouldn't as people because, you know, trial and error is a great thing in our society, We
Right,
can see people doing the dumbest things and be like, here's why we shouldn't do that." Uh-oh.
right. But that's like that old saying though, experience is a cruel teacher, right? It gives you the test and then the answer.